Stoneybeach by Loretta Smith, read by Matthew Woods. Chapter 4. As far as the boys of St Andrews were concerned, the coldest winter on record was the best thing ever. Unprompted snowball fights would break out at any time. Other boys would join in. Teams would hurriedly form. The rules laid out. Hits to the body and arms, score 1 point. Headshots 2, but if you caught a ball and threw it back, points were doubled. Older boys would assume command and send the younger ones as cannon fodder, while attempting to outflank the enemy with the intention of sacking their commander. Stephen McAllister assumed command of one team. During one attack, he grabbed one of the smallest boys and rubbed his face in the icy snow on the ground. Little Bobby Johnson got very upset and started crying. Stephen gave him a familiar smirk of satisfaction. The counter-attack came from Cat's side, led by Billy. Stephen's team retreated and snowballs launched from the distance resumed. Cat hadn't thrown a ball for a while. Instead, he'd been working on one ice ball, squeezing it for a couple of minutes. With numb hands, this really was an excellent weapon. He took aim and with steady accuracy launched it directly into the centre of Stephen's face. Stephen's nose exploded in a spray of blood and he yelped in agony. Cat then led another assault on Stephen's team and the battle was won. The next day was Saturday and the boys were allowed to go to the park for a few hours. Instead of heading to Bethnal Green Gardens, they made their way to Victoria Park, where there was a lake that had frozen solid. Once they arrived, they tentatively stepped onto the ice, delighted to find it was frozen through. Teams were formed for a game that loosely resembled ice hockey. It was considered wise for Cat and Stephen to be on the same team, forcing them to work together. In time-honoured tradition, each team had a captain who chose the boys he considered the best suited for the game. As always, the smallest or skinniest boys were selected last. Sticks were gathered from the lake's bank, a flattish round stone chosen to represent the puck, and coats placed on the ice as goalposts. The game began. It was a poor game. The boys kept falling over without proper ice skates, and the puck was difficult to control with makeshift sticks. But to the boys, this was the Winter Olympics final, and they were playing for gold medals. Billy Steadman scored a goal, and as the puck travelled 20 feet past the target, Stephen went to retrieve it and noticed the ice was thinner near the centre of the lake. As the game continued, Stephen and Cat seemed to play well as teammates. Stephen passed to Cat so he could score again and again, even congratulating with pats on the back. The ice between them was melting, just like on the lake. "Go out wider, Cat. I'll put you in round the back of the defence," Stephen called. Stephen fired a long pass that went too far ahead of Cat, sending the puck towards the middle of the lake. "Sorry, Cat, my fault. It was a rubbish pass," Stephen called. "OK, no problem, Steve. I was a bit slow off the mark." As Cat neared the puck, he heard the ice cracking underfoot. Within seconds, it broke beneath him, and Cat plunged through into the black, icy water. The shock of the freezing water made Cat panic. He flailed desperately, trying to grip the ice edge, but it kept breaking away. He could hear his friends shouting, "Get a long branch, hurry!" Gradually, Cat began to relax. He didn't feel as cold now, and drowsiness was setting in. Suddenly, it was blazing hot. The midday sun beat down on Cat's back and neck as he tried to pull an enormous peanut from the ground. Squinting against the brilliant light, so much brighter than he was used to, he could see the plantation around him. Caribbean men were harvesting peanuts with proper tools, but Cat was fixated on pulling this massive nut from the earth with his bare hands. He could hear Billy and Bobby calling him to hold on, so he grabbed the peanut root as hard as he could. With one last effort, it came rushing out of the ground and into his arms, at least the size of a rugby ball. The voices calling him grew weaker, and Cat fell into a deep sleep. Cat awoke suddenly and shot bolt upright. He was in a hospital bed, wearing pyjamas, his hands bandaged. His fingers had been cut badly whilst grasping the branch that Billy and Bobby had used to drag him from the frozen lake. The middle finger on his right hand had suffered frostbite and was stinging painfully. "Oh, you're awake, love. Thought we might lose you for a while," said the nurse who'd been caring for him. "Delirious you were, going on about peanuts of all things. Sister Josephine and your mates have been so worried about you. Good to see you on the mend." Cat owed his life to Billy and Bobby, who were now treated as heroes back at St Andrews. Stephen was keeping his head down. Nobody could prove it, but the lad suspected him of deliberately putting Cat in danger, having been near the thin ice earlier without mentioning it. His time at St Andrews was coming to an end anyway. He was getting too old to remain there. He'd probably moved to foster care, then off to national service, and who knows what after that. He wouldn't be missed for 1 minute. Later that night, back at the orphanage. Cat, you asleep? Billy was leaning over the edge of the top bunk to talk to Cat below. I was. Why? It's about Stephen. We should sort him out before he leaves, for what he did. Leave him alone, Bill. He's leaving soon, and that's fine by me. No way, Cat. He knew that ice was thin and deliberately sent you out there. Ever since you slapped him, he's had it in for you. Even more reason to give him a wide berth, surely. He's a bloody headcase. Promise me you'll leave him alone, Billy. Promise? Billy reluctantly promised to forget about confronting Stephen. Cat? What now, Billy? I want to sleep. I'm glad you're okay. Well, apart from your finger. When are they snipping the end off? When the skin's completely dead, they said. Really hurts, though. Billy? What, Cat? Thanks, mate. I owe you my life. If it wasn't for you and Bob, I'd be dead for sure. Any time, mate. Were you scared? At first I was, then I felt tired. It was weird, Bill. I had this dream about a big nut. I was in Jamaica or somewhere and I was pulling this huge peanut out of the ground. So strange. Anyway, get some sleep now. Good night. A few days later at the hospital. Now hold still, will you, boy? Said Dr. MacArthur. Get off me, you nutter, came Cat's reply. The dead tip of Cat's frozen frostbite finger was all ready to be removed, and the doctor was in no mood to be messed about with. If you don't sit still, I might cut off more than necessary. There, it's done. With one clean snip of his scissors, Dr. MacArthur successfully removed the tip of his finger. Cat had to admit it felt better. The itching had been unbearable while waiting for the flesh to die completely. Sister Josephine brought Cat a nice lolly for being brave, and then they were on their way back to St Andrews. As they approached the main gates, they saw a police car and an ambulance in front of the main entrance. What on earth could have happened? Exclaimed the nun. I do hope no one's been hurt. Stephen McAllister was being led towards the police car by two officers, an ashen expression on his face. What the hell's happened, Bob? Cat called out to Bobby Johnson, who was in tears. It's Billy, Cat. He's dead. Stephen knifed him. It can't be, Bob. Billy was giving him a wide berth, he promised me. Sorry, Cat, I think he waited till you were out of the hospital and then just went mad. I mean crazy. It looked like Billy was going to bite his face and Stephen took a knife from his pocket and stabbed Billy in the chest. Cat turned and sprinted towards the police car that was about to drive away with blood-soaked Stephen McAllister crying in the back seat, his head in his hands. He knew he'd never get fostered now. Juvenile prison would be his next stop. A fast-moving object caught Stephen's eye as Cat came flying at the car. He smashed into the door and window, banging him with his fists. You bastard, Stephen. I'll kill you for this, screamed Cat, blood pouring from his right hand where the bandages had torn open. I'm sorry, Cat, I didn't mean to kill him, sobbed Stephen. Watch your back, you hear me, because I'm going to get you. Cat ran after the police car as it drove away. The officers thought it was wise not to arrest Cat and decided to get the scared boy to safety as quickly as possible. End of chapter 4.